Uh, Good morning, Riverbend. The Committee of Parole is reconvening at its remote location, Riverbend Detention Center. Would the staff at Riverbend please introduce yourself?
Officer Samika Martin.
Morning, Ms. Martin. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. How are y'all?
Good, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would the offender please introduce yourself?
Good morning. My name is Troy Celestine.
And would you give us your DOC number?
My DOC number is 45 7595, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Celestine. Ms.
Yes, sir.
Celestine, you are here for a parole hearing this morning. I'm going to introduce myself, Alvin Roche. To my left is Ms. Bonnie Jackson, and to my right is Mr. Pete Freeman. Let me explain the process to you. I will read the information into the record. Once the information is in the record, we'll conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, if you have any guests, we'll allow them to make comments. At the very end, before we vote, we'll give you a chance to make a statement on your behalf. You understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Celestine, you are a 7th felony offender, and according to this, you are only 38 years old. Am I correct?
I'll be 38 in August, sir.
Yes. August 11th.
Yes, sir.
And your offenses are contraband, possession of Schedule 2, and you were billed as an habitual offender. And also unauthorized use of a movable and then another contraband. You were sentenced on July 21st, 2009, March 15th, 2010, March 22nd, 2010, April 29th, 2015. One of the contrabands in Concordia Parish on January 29th, 2020, and you were sentenced to East Carroll on October 6, 2021, only 8 months ago. Is that correct?
It was a year ago.
Well, you were sentenced on October 6, 2021, which
Yes.
is about 8 months ago.
Yes, sir.
Your sentence in Lafayette, 5 years, Lafayette, 20 years, Lafayette, 5 years, and Franklin, 90 days, and East Carroll, Concordia 6 months, and East Carroll 1 year. Your total sentence, 26 years, 6 months, and 90 days. Is that correct?
And that's, yes, sir.
Your parole date was March 22nd, 2015. Your good time date.
You heard me? It wasn't real. That's why I got dismissed.
Mr. Atkins,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
2035. Is this information correct?
Yes, sir.
Your case has been assigned to Mr. Freeman. Would you please answer Mr. Freeman's question?
Yes, sir, Mr. Freeman.
Okay, Mr. Celestine, how many years have you served on these charges?
Well, Mr. Freeman, I have served 13 and a half years. I have been incarcerated, Mr. Freeman.
Okay, so that's 13 and a half years.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's your education level?
My education level is I didn't complete it all the course, but I have participated and completed a lot of programs like 88NA, 12 steps, substance abuse.
Right, right. So did you get your GED? Do you have a high school education?
Yes, sir, I did in the freeway, but due to they shipping me from different facilities to facilities, I haven't been in nothing yet.
You have a high school education. Okay, you have a bunch of charges for drugs. Were you a drug dealer or you a drug user?
Well, I was using, sir.
Okay. What kind of treatment have you had since you've been inside with regards to drugs?
Okay, I'm finna show them to you right now, sir. I have 88NA. I have 12-step sponsor group. I have anger management.
Right, that's not a drug program.
Yes, sir. What about AANA?
Yeah, I got that. That's a program. Let me ask you this, what have you learned from the programs you've taken regarding your drug use?
I have learned to have a sound mind.
What else? What about the 12 steps? What do you remember about the 12 steps program?
Well, it has been quite a while, but I'm gonna say that I have learned from my mistakes. And I have grown up.
Okay. Let me ask you this. You have 3 contraband charges since you've been in jail. One was a cell phone, one was a shank, and one was a pocket knife. The shank and the pocket knife, tell me about that. Like, you scared in prison? What are you bringing in these kind of weapons for?
You know, due to the new incarceration, and people don't know how to stay in their own individual lane, and they come in groups now. So, and there's a lot of young kids that's incarcerated. And with all due respect, a lot of bad stuff happens here.
Okay. So that pocket knife was personal protection? Is that why you brought that in?
Yes, sir. I ain't gonna lie to you, sir. Yes, sir.
That happened in January of 2001 is when it actually happened. You didn't plead till October, but that was probably a year and a half ago you brought that knife.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Says you have 4 children. Do you have any contact with your children?
Yes, sir. I have contact with my kids, sir.
How often do you have contact?
I have contact with 2 of them, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What's their ages, your children?
Well, my son is 20, and my daughter finna be 18, sir.
And the other 2 you have no contact with?
No, sir, not at the moment, sir.
And they're living with their mother or what?
Yes, sir. They live with their mother.
Your supervision record isn't that great. You put on probation in 2002, and this probation was revoked due to technical violation. You were put on good time in 2003, and that parole was revoked due to new criminal activity. You got out on good time again in 2005, which you finished that period of parole. And then you had 6 months in the parish jail suspended for a carnal knowledge charge. And that probation was revoked. It was a misdemeanor probation. Tell me a little bit about that carnal knowledge charge. What was that about, 2008?
Well, sir, when I was out there in society. I'm gonna say that, doing, being in an environment, and females don't tend to say that they don't tell their real ages.
So how old was the girl?
Well, I believe that she was 16, 17.
How old were you?
Well, when I came to jail, I was 23, sir.
Yeah, but I mean, how old were you in
Back,
2000?
back I want to say 2000. I probably was what, 2000.
Yeah, around 20, no, about 22 years old. Okay. All right. You have opposition from one judge, and then from another judge is unopposed. The DAs are opposed, with one DA unopposed. So actually, it all boils down to 8 opposed, 4 no comment, 2 unopposed. Your mother favors you getting out. You have a long criminal history. It dates back to '99. That's if you was a juvenile back then, or were you? Who's your age at your first arrest?
Sir,
What was your age at your first arrest?
my first arrest.
Hmm?
I believe my first arrest was probably unauthorized use or drugs
Hmm? How old were you back then?
in '99.
Yeah,
Well, with all due respect, I probably was, I want to say
17. Probably.
17, 18. Yes, sir.
Okay. Um, let's talk about your drug usage a little more. How long have you been using drugs?
Well, sir,
What age is
around, I want to say around 17, 18,
and what you started out using?
marijuana, sir.
And what did it lead to? What was all the drugs that you did?
Marijuana and, drunk a little alcohol, and that was it. But not too much alcohol, but marijuana was my biggest drug.
You caught with possession of cocaine, and it wasn't much. You never did cocaine?
Well, sir, no, sir, not that much neither, sir.
Not that much, but I mean, did you ever do it?
Yes, sir, well, a little bit, sir.
You've taken some classes. What did you learn through your victim accountability class?
I learned, what I learned about my classes.
Yeah, what did you learn?
Well, I learned like 12, over the years, I learned how to be more of a self-discipline and a learner and listen and pay attention. With all due respect, these classes have taught me a lot.
I'm hoping they taught you a lot. See, you are medium risk, moderate risk, I should say. You have 11 write-up. Last one was in 12/6 of 18. You also have one on 12/1/18 for destruction of property. What was that about?
A write-up on destruction of property. Destruction of property.
Yeah,
And
12/1/18.
what can you recall what facility, sir?
Was that, David was,
David Wade.
Anyway, oh, it was a sweater that a guy had made for me. It was a sweater and it had pockets on it, and she wrote me up. She said, but I had bought the sweater off the store. So when I got it from him, he made me pockets on it, and she said I destructed the property, and I paid for it.
Okay, what is to be your transition plan?
A transition plan?
Right, where you going to live, where you gonna work?
Well,
What you
sir,
gonna do to stay off of drugs?
okay, I live with my mom due to the moment, and I do get a disability check for my own, sir.
Okay, and, so you got, what's wrong with your arm?
Well, it's broken since I was a kid, sir. Can you see? See, I
Yeah,
can't pick it up all the way.
Okay, so are you able to work at all?
Well, I can't pick up heavy things with it.
Did you get a disability check for that?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right, what about drugs? How you gonna stay off of drugs when you get out?
Well, by God's will, sir, I have grew up more since I've been incarcerated, and I want to go home and raise my family, my kids. So, because my son is getting a little older, and he need a father figure in his world. Drugs is not no option. Drugs is nothing to me, sir. That's behind me. What's in the past, stay in the past. And I'm praying and hoping that I can reach my future so I can be with my family. I have been incarcerated 13 and a half years.
Okay.
Going on 14 years.
So do you consider yourself a drug addict or not?
Well, sir, in this particular moment, I'm not a drug addict. I was just a user, but I have made better decisions, becoming a better man.
Well, you know, drugs is a sickness, just like any other sickness, and you know, you got to watch it. 'Cause one thing go wrong, you fall right back in it. And most people that have had drug problems continue to go to AA and NA when they get out.
Yes, sir.
That's all the questions I have, Mr. Roche.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Ms. Jackson?
Mr. Celestine,
Yes, ma'am.
you know, you kind of have a pre-prepared speech that you want to say. And a lot of people do that, but we're not interested in some, the same thing everybody else says.
Yes, ma'am.
We're interested in, are you going to be successful if we were able to vote in your favor? Almost all of your arrests have been in convictions of involved drugs. Almost all of your criminal activity has involved drugs. Isn't that correct?
Oh, this speaker, I can't really hear too good.
Most of your criminal activity has
Yes, ma'am.
involved drugs. Is that correct?
We're incarcerated.
Yes.
I can't really, this speaker is going in and out.
You've been arrested and convicted of a lot of drug charges. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But
Yes.
then you said you weren't an addict. You were just a user.
I was a user. I was a user too, ma'am, with all due respect.
What do you think an addict is, Mr. Celestine? What is an addict in your mind?
Well, an addict is someone that's addicted to different drugs.
You don't think you were addicted to different kinds of drugs? You kept getting arrested for drugs.
Yes, ma'am.
So why do you think you weren't addicted?
I'm gonna say that with all due respect, due to my circumstances being the person that I wouldn't really like chasing an addict like an addict do. An addict do is chase.
Well, Mr. Celestine, if you
And I know
keep
it's all
doing
the same.
if you keep doing something that puts you in jail and you get out of jail and you go back to doing the same thing, don't you think that means you're an addict?
Yes, ma'am.
Otherwise, you would stop doing it.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, Mr. Celestine, I really wanted to vote to let you out because have been in jail 13 and a half years for basically minor drug possession. But I don't think you get it. I think you really need long-term substance abuse treatment. You haven't had that. Because I don't think you understand what your problem is. And until you understand what your problem is, you're not going to be able to deal with it.
I know how to deal with situations, and
That's what you think.
yes,
But
ma'am.
look where you are.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're a 7th felony offender.
Yes, ma'am.
So you haven't figured out what it is that keeps bringing you back to prison. Now, I understand that 3 of those charges happened in prison for contraband.
Yes, ma'am.
But you haven't figured it out yet. You just haven't. So for me, I don't think you're ready. I think you need some long-term substance abuse treatment. Are you interested in getting long-term substance abuse treatment, or do you just think you got this under control?
Well, ma'am, I'm in substance abuse right now too. Again, see, this is substance abuse. 12 steps.
I know what it is.
Yes, ma'am. AA and NA. I have AA, NA. It's 12 step. That's AA. In substance abuse, 12 steps. I completed those programs, and I'm in a class right now in substance abuse right now. As we speak.
Just don't feel like you're getting it though. When you tell us you're not an addict, that tells me you don't even know what an addict is.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm trying my best of my ability to tell you what an addict is. Is two different things. An addict is. An addict is someone that chases drugs too, and an addict is someone that have control over his drug problems, ma'am. With all due respect.
You think you got control over your drug problems?
Yes, ma'am. And over the years, I have gained knowledge and wisdom from these things, ma'am.
Okay. That's what you think. I don't know that I agree with that. Well, thank you, Ms. Celestine.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mrs. Celestine, would you like to make a closing statement?
Well, with all due respect, I just hope and pray that, that Ms. Jackson could see that, I have been incarcerated and I have grew in these situations. I have grew to be a better man. And I would love to take care of my responsibility with my family. And with all due respect, I'm a more of a disciplined adult. And I have a mom that needs me. She's in a condition also.
Thank you, Mrs. Celestine. Is the panel ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Celestine, I agree with Ms. Jackson. I think you have a bad drug problem, and I don't think you're really getting it with just the NA and the AA. But I do feel that and we're going to try to help you, if we could get you to a long-term program like Steve Hall, and you complete that program successfully, next time my decision would probably be different. And we will try to get you to a program like Steve Hall, but today I vote to deny.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mrs. Jackson?
Mr. Celestine, I'm also going to vote to deny, but also recommend your placement in a long-term substance abuse program.
I'm in a substance. Yes, sir.
Mr. Senator, we are voting.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Celestine, you received 2 votes to deny your request.
Ma'am, sir.
You have received 2 votes to deny your request. Based upon an extensive criminal history, you became victim of 5 different felonies, a terrible supervision history, law enforcement opposition, you're in serious need of a long-term substance abuse program, not substance abuse education, not AA meetings. You need substance abuse treatment. And you have a moderate risk assessment. My vote also is to deny your request. You have received 3 votes to deny your request. Your request for early release has been denied. That completes our cases at Riverbend. We are going to stand adjourned at Riverbend at 10:42 a.m. Have a good day.